Hello students, today we're going to discuss about ICSE Class 10 Chapter 2 Chemical Bonding Part 2. In previous video we discussed about ionic bonding. In this video we discuss about covalent bond. Covalent bonds are formed by atoms sharing electrons to form bonds that hold the atoms together in the molecules. So covalent bonds are formed by atoms. Atoms of same element or atoms of different elements, which shares the electrons to form bonds that hold the atoms together in a molecule. This type of bonds usually formed by non-metallic elements. This type of bond usually formed between two non-metallic elements. Example, you take formation of HCl, hydrogen, chlorine, hydrogen atom and chlorine atom combine to form HCl. Hydrogen is a non-metal. Chlorine is also a non-metal. Hydrogen has only 1 electron in the outermost shell. Chlorine has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So both the atoms needs of electrons to achieve stable electronic configuration. Hydrogen, chlorine shares electrons. They form HCl. Formation of H2 molecule. Here hydrogen combines with other atoms of the same element. Hydrogen combines with another hydrogen atom. They form hydrogen molecule. Here chlorine combines with another chlorine atom. They form chlorine molecule. Okay, so they shares electrons. Formation of H2O. Hydrogen, 2 hydrogen atoms combines with 1 oxygen atom to form H2O. Here oxygen has 6 electrons in the outermost shell. It is in need of 2 electrons. So it shares electrons with 2 hydrogen atoms and form covalent bond. Covalent bond between hydrogen. As this bond is formed by sharing of electrons, this bond is called covalent bond. 3 hydrogen and 1 nitrogen combine to form NH3, ammonia molecule. And this displayed as N bond H. Okay, so this is the electron dot structure of ammonia molecule. In electron dot structure, that is Lewis electrodot structure, you have to represent only the outermost electrons. This is about formation of methane. 4 hydrogen and 1 carbon combines to form CH4. This is methane. Carbon has tetravalency. Carbon has 4 electrons. It shares 4 electrons with the 4 hydrogen atom. They form methane. This is the electron dot structure of methane, and this is displayed as like this. C bond H, C bond H, C bond H, C bond H. This is carbon tetrachloride. Carbon has 4 electrons. It shares electrons with the chlorine, 4 chlorines, and they produce carbon tetrachloride. So covalent bonding, which forms as double covalent bond. So formation of oxygen molecule is an example for formation of double covalent bond. 2 atoms of oxygen combines to form a molecules of element oxygen O2. So here oxygen shares electrons. It has 6 electrons in the outermost shell. So it shares 2. Both the oxygens shares 2 electrons. 2 of its valence electrons will form double covalent bond. Each oxygen atom is 2 electrons short of full outer shell. So each oxygen atom shares 2 of its electrons with other atoms. So both oxygen atoms have full outer shell. So this is how we are getting a double bond. Double bond between these 2 oxygen atoms in oxygen molecule. Lewis diagram of oxygen, simplified dot and cross electronic diagram for the covalent bond oxygen molecule. This is Lewis dot structure. The molecule has 1 O double bond O, that is what? 1 double bond, double covalent bond. Oxygen valency is 2. This is called double covalent bond. 1 double covalent bond. That is double bond. This is an example for the same kind, double covalent bond formation of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide, one carbon atom, two oxygen. It's going to share the electron. They're going to form the bond. So this is called double covalent bond. Carbon, 4 electrons short of full, there is what outer shell, and oxygen is 2 electrons short of 4 full outer shell. So one carbon atom shares its 4 outer shells with the 2 outer electrons from each of the oxygen atoms. So all 3 atoms now have full outer shells. Oxygen, it is in need of 2 electrons to get stable electronic configurations to achieve the full outer shell. So carbon, 2 oxygen atoms shares electrons, 2 electrons. So and then it gets the full outer shell configuration. This is about the C2H4 ethene formation. So carbon shares 1 electron with the 2 hydrogen, one electrons with the 2 hydrogen, and shares 2 electrons with the carbon with other carbon atom. So here 4 electron is shared, so double bond, double covalent bond. Here electron shared between carbon and hydrogen, they form bond. This is a single covalent bond. Here double covalent bond. Double covalent bond formed between C, carbon, and another carbon, and single covalent bond formed between carbon with hydrogen. CH, 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 CH. So 2 atoms of carbon combines with 4 atoms of hydrogen to form ethene. Lewis dot structure of ethene is this one, and is displayed as C double bond C, single bond H on both the sides of the carbon. This is ethylene. This is triple covalent bonds formed between carbon and carbon. This is nitrogen. Triple covalent bond formed between 2 nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. It is in need of 3 electrons. So both the nitrogen shares 3 electrons, form triple bond between nitrogen. So this triple bond is known as the triple covalent bond. Methane. C. Carbon shares 4 electrons with the 4 hydrogen atoms, forms methane. Formation of water molecule. Hydrogen has 1 electron in the outermost shell. So 2 hydrogen shares 1 electrons with the oxygen, which has 6 electrons in the outermost shell, shares electrons, they form water molecule. This is how you are getting water. Next, nonpolar covalent bonds. Nonpolar covalent bonds. When both atoms pull on the electrons equally, the electrons are shared equally. The atoms which is involved in the covalent bond formations, when it pulls the electrons equally, okay, and this is said to be covalent bonds, that is nonpolar covalent bonds. And this happens when both the atoms are the same. You take example H2, O2, N2, Cl2, F2, Br2, I2. Okay, so these molecules are made up of same type of atoms. Okay, so these atoms pulls the electrons equally. So the bonds which formed between these atoms are called as nonpolar covalent bond. It also happens when the both atoms have very similar electronegativity values. That is, that affinity towards the electrons are similar. So electronegativity value will be what more or less same. So it pulls the electrons in equally it will pull. Okay, so example CHCC. In polar covalent compound, electrons are not at equal distance. But in case of a non-polar covalent bond, electrons are equally shared. Electrons are at equal distance. HCl is an example for polar covalent bond. Cl2 molecule, chlorine molecule, is an example for non-polar covalent bond. Next, Hydrogen fluoride is also example for polar covalent bond. H2O is also an example for polar covalent bond. Conditions favoring the formation of covalent bond. A covalent bond is formed between two nonmetals. A nonmetal shares electrons with another nonmetals forms covalent bond. The difference in electronegativity between the combining atoms of the two nonmetals must be sufficiently low. So the atoms, the element which takes participate in the covalent bond formation should have very low electronegativity, and the difference between the electronegativity of the two atoms which involve in the covalent bond formation should be very low. The difference in the electronegativity between the combining atoms should be very low. The two combining atoms should have high ionization energy. That ionization energy is nothing but it is the energy required to remove the outermost electron. And the two combining atoms should have high electron negativity. These are the conditions favoring the formation of covalent bond. Next, effect of electricity on electrovalent and covalent bond. Electrovalent bond, when the current passed in the solution of electrovalent compounds, example sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, or any ionic compounds you take, and sodium hydroxide, the bulb glows. This shows that they allow electric current to pass through them. When you take electrovalent compound, which is made up of ionic bond, that is the electrovalent bond, ionizes into dissociate into ions. Okay, and this shows they allow electric current to pass through them. Thus, the ionic compounds are good conductors of electricity in molten or aqueous state due to free mobile ions. Covalent compounds, when current is passed through the solution of covalent compounds, the bulb does not glow. Covalent compounds does not form any ions, but whereas ionic compounds forms ions. Coordinate bond. A coordinate bond is formed when the pair of electrons forming the bond are donated by one atom. So, in case of covalent bond, both atoms shares electron form covalent bond. In case of coordinate, when the pair of electrons forming the bonds are donated by one atom, the bond formed between this atom are known as coordinate bond. Formation of oxonium ion H3O plus, also known as hydroxonium ion and hydronium ion. HCl, when it's dissolved in water, you'll get H plus and Cl minus ion. This H plus ions, when it approaches H2O, it forms H3O plus, a pair of electrons from the oxygen atom. So, pair of electrons from the oxygen atom. Of the water is denoted, atom of the water is denoted to a proton to form, is donated to a proton to form an oxygen hydrogen coordinate bond in the oxonium ion. So first H2O, the oxygen has 6 electrons in the outermost shell. When it shares 2 electrons with the water, that is H atom, that is hydrogen atom, it forms water molecules. When the H plus approaches this H2O, it has two lone pairs. So one lone pairs will be transferred to, that is what shared with H plus ions forms the bond. Okay. So this is actually coordinate bond. When the pairs of electrons forming the bonds are donated by one atom, and the bond formed between these atoms known as coordinate bond. Formation of ammonium ion NH4 plus, NH3 aqueous ammonia, when it's approached by this H plus, and it will produce H4 plus, NH4 plus. Okay, so this is the ammonium ion NH4 plus. The lone pair of electrons on nitrogen atoms is donated to the proton to form a nitrogen-hydrogen coordinate bond in ammonium ion. So you people know nitrogen has 5 electrons in the outermost shell, 3 electrons shared with 3 hydrogen atom, and it is formed ammonia molecule. It has one lone pair of electron. The lone pair of electrons, when it donates to H plus, it forms NH4 plus. The bond between nitrogen and one hydrogen in the ammonium ion is a coordinate, and the 3 bonds are covalent bonds. So ammonium has 3 covalent bond, 1 coordinate bond. Formation of hydroxyl ion H2O. So when it's dissociate, it gives H plus OH minus ion. So H2O, you know the formation of H2O. When it's oxygen shares electrons with 2 hydrogen, it's produce water molecule. Okay, so this is all H plus and OH minus. So H plus OH minus, this is the structure of OH minus actually. 2,4,6H. Self-ionization of water. So water dissociate into H plus OH minus. The hydroxyl ion is formed when on hydrogen ion H plus is removed from water. So H plus ions, when it's removed from water, it produce hydroxyl ion OH minus ion. This H plus, when it's there is H plus approach water, and it produce H3O plus. Or else you can also make H3O plus by combining H2. That is when two water molecules combine, they form H3O plus OH minus ion. These are reversible reactions. So OH H2O produce H3O plus and OH minus. This is the structure of hydronium ion, and this is the structure of OH minus ion. Thank you, students. Subscribe my channels for more videos.